today, Rinpoche continued his explanation of Nagarjuna's precious garland, showing how abandoning non-virtuous activities is necessary if one wants to become enlightened. But also, if one wishes to have a happy life, abandoning non-virtuous activities is also necessary.
That is in Tawansana, Lani Chimutabotis, Lani Chimutabotis, and Chibuchungu law, Ding law, Chibuchibi law, Chibuchungu law, Del Mogujungu, Sudin Chandra, Teladen Dindra, then Sabas Jibin Ding law, Teladen Tabandra, then the Shaju sent down, Shindula Subatu, Chibuchibi law, Teladen Sanji, which you want to say.
So welcome everyone again to the Chenrezig Tibetan Buddhist Center. Today we are looking at Nagarjuna's precious garland, and specifically we are going to be on stanza 156 around is where we'll begin today. But just as an introduction, here at the Chenrezig Center we just finished a very long teaching on Lama Tsongkhapa's great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment that went on for over a decade really. And when we look at the topics that are presented within Lama Tsongkhapa's great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment, and the topics that are presented in Nagarjuna's precious garland, we'll see that they are very similar. Right from the beginning of Nagarjuna's precious garland, we see a reference made to what the first chapter is called high status and definite goodness or certain goodness. Here this lays the groundwork for the same ideas that we find in the teachings for beings of three capacities in the Lamrim tradition. So in the precious garland, we see these two categories of high status and certain goodness, but if we were to compare them to the Lamrim, we would say that the first category of high status would be compared to the teachings that are shared in common with beings of small capacity, and then the teachings on definite goodness would be compared to the teachings shared in common with beings of medium capacity, and then the teachings for beings of great capacity. Ultimately, this text by Nagarjuna is presenting the material which is the teachings for beings of great capacity. But as is taught in the Lamrim and all of Lord Buddha's teachings, that all of the higher teachings are dependent upon the previous teachings, not necessarily lower, just previous teachings. So when you see a teaching that is given for beings of great capacity, or for, in this case, definite goodness, but the highest type of definite goodness, which is Buddhahood, it is inferred that the teachings shared in common with beings of medium capacity and the teachings for beings of small capacity are also included within that. So we find that two comparisons that you can make. The first comparison is that if it's a great vehicle or a Mahayana teaching that shows you how to achieve Buddhahood, all of the previous teachings are inferred because you cannot achieve those goals without them. And second, if you look at the categories that are presented in the very beginning of the Precious Garland, you see high status and definite goodness. You can compare high status to the small scope and definite goodness to the medium and the great scope. So just a brief introduction of what those capacities are. So when we go back to the Lamrim, we see that there are the teachings for beings of three capacities. And all of Lord Buddha's teachings are summarized within those three capacities. So there isn't a Buddhist teaching that's ever been given, if it's an accurate teaching, that does not fit into any among those three categories. So the first category is called the teachings shared in common with beings of small capacity. These are teachings for practitioners who merely want to achieve higher realm rebirth in future lives, but do not seek to get out of cyclic existence altogether. So the Buddha stated for a practitioner who wishes to have good rebirths, good future rebirths, he or she engages in going for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, has ethical behavior that abandons the 10 non-virtuous activities, and if he or she wavers, engages in an acknowledgement of that wavering, of that non-virtue, acknowledges in some way that there's been a wrong done. And the Buddha stated that if you live a life like that, that leads, those causes lead to the result of a higher realm rebirth. So the Buddha stated by relying upon those practices lead to the higher realms. But they don't end cyclic existence altogether. The next category of teachings are called the teachings shared in common with beings of medium capacity. These are for practitioners who wish to leave cyclic existence altogether, no longer want to be forced ever again into a rebirth within the 6 realms of cyclic existence, but they are not seeking to become a Buddha, and they are not seeking to free all others from cyclic existence. They are merely seeking to free themselves from cyclic existence because they recognize the downfalls of it. So they develop what's called renunciation, a desire to emerge from cyclic existence. And that's what qualifies them as a medium scope practitioner, is that they have renunciation. And then this practitioner, the Buddha said, engages in the 3 highest higher trainings, the highest higher training in ethics, concentration, and wisdom. And in dependence upon that, he or she removes what's called the afflictive obstructions. The afflictive obstructions are what keep us in cyclic existence. When those are no longer there, cyclic existence is no longer experienced. So the Buddha said by depending upon those 3 highest higher trainings and then coupling them with the small scope teachings. So you'll notice that these are called the teachings shared in common with beings of small capacity, teachings shared in common with beings of medium capacity. That's because when you get to medium, it's assumed that you're practicing the small. So the Buddha said that if you're practicing all of those things within small capacity, couple them with the 3 highest higher trainings and realize them, you'll remove the afflictive obstructions and you'll no longer be in cyclic existence, and you'll dwell in what's called nirvana. This word nirvana, or an individual liberation. The final category of teachings is for the practitioner who says, like myself, who has these sufferings that are horrendous, all other sentient beings do as well. I'd like to get to a place where I could not only be free, but also have them all be free too. So whatever the fastest route to the goal of us all free is, because it becomes us all free, not just me free at that point. Whatever the quickest goal to us free is, that's what I want to do. And that's what a bodhisattva practice is. Now you find out that it's best that you become a Buddha first so that you can really help those people. So the us goal becomes, actually works out for you personally, because personally it's better, you're better for sentient beings if you don't have obstacles. So you're better off as a Buddha for helping them. So the Buddha stated that if you want to become a Buddha like I am, because the Buddha was just a person who was just like us, who had all of the problems that we do, and then figured out something to stop it forever, and then figured out a way to help everyone stop it forever as a practitioner, to become part of helping everyone stop it forever. And the Buddha said that if you become part of helping everyone's suffering stop forever, then your suffering will stop forever as kind of a byproduct. And that's what the great scope is. So the Buddha said that if you practice the small scope and couple it with the medium scope, and then you get bodhicitta, which is this idea that I was just talking about, this desire to become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings, this desire to free all sentient beings from suffering, that kind of comes first. When you look at there's a meditation you can write down called the 7-point cause and effect. It's one of the 2 causes that let you get bodhicitta, that actually allow you to arrive at bodhicitta. And when you're doing the meditation, right before you realize bodhicitta, you say, I'm going to take on the task of freeing every sentient being. And then you have a realization that you're handicapped because you're not omniscient. Who really does that the best? The Buddha. And then you say, may I become a Buddha for the sake of all of them. So the thing that leads to that idea of bodhicitta, which is the door into the Mahayana, which is the first thing you need to start causing Buddhahood, is, like myself, everyone's suffering. What's the best way to get us out of here, to make us all get out of here? And then you realize the best way is for me to become a Buddha, so I can be in the best driving position to do that. So the Buddha said, get that idea in your head, which is bodhicitta, the desire to become a Buddha for the sake of sentient beings. And then with that in mind, and only that in mind, practice the 6 perfections. So practice generosity, ethics, patience, concentration, effort, patience, and concentration, and wisdom for the sake of becoming a Buddha for all sentient beings. And if you do all of that, the Buddha said, you'll have what happened to me happen. You'll become omniscient, you'll never have to suffer again, and you'll be in the pole position to get everybody else out. So that's really what the Lamrim teaches, and that's precisely what this precious Garland teaches, but not in as an A, B, C, D, E, F, G kind of way. The beauty of having the Lamrim embedded in your brain is you can take every teaching from then on and put it into categories, and you know where it fits. So you can read this precious Garland and you know where every single thing fits in the path if you study the Lamrim well enough. But if you only study this, it's very hard to kind of see where it all fits. It's kind of like over here and this and advice and emptiness and this and don't grasp and, the body's unclean. But if you study the Lamrim, you know where every single one of those fits in, how to meditate on it, and if you meditated on it and it worked or not, because it tells you what will happen if it worked. It's really that straightforward of a blueprint when you start studying Buddhism in a really, really clear analytical way. It's that clear. It's like, did this happen in my meditation or not? Let me read. Page 77 or 6 will say what was supposed to happen. So you can't really trick yourself anymore. You can't play this, I've had realizations, I'm this or that anymore, because you have a mirror that you can look in that'll tell you whether or not you did, and you have a blueprint to tell you which way to go while you're trying to figure out if you did or not. And it's just really amazing. And with that, let's start. 156. Jadang Achunga Dru. Tuchana Rinpoche. Rinpoche, the Charan, the 1998 lesson. Then Ngatsu, the Sheda the Shimason. Lamrim Sheda Shimason. Then Charan, the Landun Dan Drapodu. The Selpo Shason. Then Ngatsu Kashe, Lamrim Sheda Shindu. That's good sodu. Then Ngatsu this do. The Lamrim Shena. Then the Rinchin Chenwa Lo. Then the Jipu Chungo Dandra. The Jipu Din Dandra. The Jipu Chembo Dandra. The Jawa. The Tumoa. Good sodu. Lamrim Chemo Mena good soul mare. Then the Lapson, the Chiran Kadrin Chempo, Tuchana Rinpoche. I was just telling him what I said and what a gift it is that he taught us the Lamrim, and now we have this lens to read the precious Garland with.
That's
Lesso.
Mazon Pombo Telenje, Babi Ube, Ubagan, Never than the Bemeji, Suju Kune Yawasis, Suju Kune Yawase. Zona Watan Zunga Na, Ken Nam Yana, Jean Beme Zogun Mazana, Dosha Cheba colleges. That Cheba Beme Zoto Mazan, Chaba Karasin Chewaris, College. Kete Matan, Kaduzan, Shido, Sala, Ilejan, Tela Chaba, Mutar, Pemezula, Tejinos, Tene Kasagore. Mazan Chaba, Jena Mayubatar, Pemezula Chibaris.
Lesser.
Kurishiru Babi, you Runyandi, Rajine. Shidu meze na jindo, cheta bana, 통면조로 통하면조도 맞아마 통하면조도 통고그레스 바반디 맞아미 바반데야 then 맞아 바바데 맞아와레스 맞아미 레라 렌가 제도 도제나 맞아 pombo 바바다라 제다바나 상완조로 맞아 pombo 간다진 상마 말레스
Medupagom.
모두바고야
The Yabudu.
맞아
Duchanye.
가이 본반네 셔를 짜야 매바이 맞아와이 라진르 맞아 강와 제매매 어디 르 맞아와들 매라당 오르서 게데 최네 맞아 저던 청와 자동네 장와 맞아 셰바강 르르 지실 매 실 르도 저거서 녀미 내봤다고 그래서 매매 제대로가 제다게 맞아 매바샤와 따라 라지 대신 라다 제다게 맞아 존에 제매매스 라다 제가 맞아 존들 패라 그래서 가르치는 말하면 더 말이지. 제가 밤에 좀마다 최지랑을 대단하다. 밤에 그 좀마다 나지. 근데 가서 사망 좀마다 말이지. 대단하다 버리지. 대시다 나니라 네 도사 저와 리미나 도사도 저와 리바 미나 마고 다네 다바제 다니 고소 최세장 르마상와 모두나 최라 시베 지시벤스 가다 마상 르նդ라 대추 년아 셰바네 에마오 조노 에마오 런사 에마오 주 체드롱 마시메비 지바이 세젠데네 페체양 데비 돈도 존중와 도샤가 돈달 쪼바 용으로 보다
Lasso.
맞아 돈도 천하진 맞아 돈도 천하버레스 에바 투나 던조와
766.
대위 에바 매바데 대신 제들 되데 되바 매바 대유데
Ale. The Yadu.
게데 대다 다나뉴 추 되샤 저와 마루장 원장 되샤 서바이 베메 차바 먼저로
The Yabudu. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, okay.
That's good. Okay, so we're going to start on 156, and again, I just want to clarify because some of you weren't here last week, or the week before, rather. So this text is a text that was written to a king, and it was a king who wanted to know how to rule his kingdom as a Buddhist, how to do it in an ethical way, and he had various worldly desires and problems, just as all of us do. And he wanted to know, first and foremost, how to ethically be a king, and then how to become ethical, or how to reinforce. It's one thing to say you have to be ethical, but if you don't have a pathway to becoming ethical or to removing those things that make you unethical, it's not necessarily a realistic thing. Just be pure, just do that. So included within this are meditations on how you become less attached, how you get over greed, how you get over lust. So when you read this section, just realize that it's Nagarjuna writing to a male about how to lessen lust. And the same exact thing would apply when I've heard this teaching given at a nunnery, or if a teaching is given in a nunnery. It would be explained that the male's body, you would insert just the different gender in here, and it would be precisely the same exact thing. So it isn't written in a way to be chauvinistic, which it sometimes is interpreted as. It's written to a male, so that's how it would be understood. Nagarjuna didn't have this idea that we were all, it was this big teaching. He wrote a letter to a king, and it became a text we read now. So just recognize that. I'm sure he had it in mind. He was a great scholar and had clairvoyance, as we believe. But just recognize that that's who it's being written to as you read these words. And when we look at the three poisons, attachment, hatred, and delusion or ignorance, when we look at the antidotes for attachment, we always say it's medupagom. Medupagom is meditation on ugliness, literally. What does ugliness mean? The raw ugliness of things, the impurity, like what's really behind the curtain when we look at the human body. So that when we say meditation on ugliness, it doesn't really make any sense until you know what is really being aimed at. But that's what it literally, medupagom, familiarization with ugliness, is the antidote to attachment, according to Buddha. So if you had an attachment to a car, you'd start to look at the ugliness of what the reality of that car was. If you're looking at attachment, lust to a human, you start to look at what the reality of that human is. So everything's just analysis and isn't really placing these things that we're projecting as societies on them. It's just being very matter of fact about stuff. So with that, why should you lust desirously for this while recognizing it is unclean form produced by a seed whose essence is impure, a mixture of blood and semen? One who lies on this impure mass, covered by skin moistened with those fluids, merely lies on top of a woman's bladder. If whether beautiful or ugly, whether old or young, all female bodies are unclean. From what attribute does your lust arise? Just as not fit to desire filth, although it has a good color, is very fresh, and has a nice shape, so it is with a woman's body. How could the nature of this putrid corpse, a rotten mass covered outside by skin, not be seen when it looks so very horrible? The skin is not foul, it's like a garment, like a hide over a mass of impurities. How could it be clean? A pot, though beautiful outside, is reviled when filled with impurities. Why is the body filled with impurities and foul by nature not reviled? If you revile against impurities, why not against this body? If you revile against impurities, why not against this body, which befouls clean sense, garlands food and drink? Just as one's own or others' impurities are reviled, why not revile against one's own and others' unclean bodies? So it's saying just as you revile feces and so forth, and you think those things are gross, why are you so attached to it when it's just a skin-covered body full of that? So it's starting to analyze what are we really attached to when we look at it from a physical standpoint. Why not revile against one's own and others' unclean bodies? Since your own body is as unclean as a woman's, it is not suitable to be part from desire for self and other. Is it not suitable to be part from desire for self and other? If you yourself wash this body dripping from the 9 wounds, and you see what those are, it's just like the eye, the ear, nose. You could. I'll just read it because everyone doesn't have eye, ears, nostrils, mouth, genitalial, and anus. So the 9 wounds is what they're referring to. If you yourself wash this body dripping from the 9 wounds and still do not think it unclean, what use is religious instruction for you? So it's saying that you wash it. You do it work really hard at washing this thing because you know it's dirty. But then you become very attached to it when it's someone else's. So you don't think, never crosses your mind that what that filth that you're washing off is on that person, just like you had it. You're only thinking of these, it's called inappropriate mental activity. You're placing all of these things that are only the good things, and you're not looking at any of the other realities. So then that's what allows you to become attached to it so strongly, is because it's not realistic at all. You're only looking at the things that aren't real. They compare it to a golden pot full of feces. Do you want that or not? Would you like that in your home? Gold, it's beautiful, but it's full of that. It starts to become less valuable when you think about that. Whoever composes poetry with metaphors elevating this body, oh, how shameless, how stupid, how embarrassing before wise beings. Moreover, we just had Valentine's Day, so I'm sure we all did a little bit of that, or saw a lot of that at least. Moreover, those sentient beings, obscured by the darkness of ignorance, quarrel most over what they desire, like dogs for the sake of some dirty thing. There is pleasure when a sore is scratched, but to be without sores is more pleasurable still. So, just so, there are pleasures in worldly desires, but to be without desires is more pleasurable still. So Rinpoche pointed this out. So, if you have an itch, and you scratch it, it feels pretty good at that moment. But imagine if there was no itch whatsoever. So it's saying that giving into worldly desires can feel good, but it comes with all the other things that we all know about. And imagine if that desire wasn't there at all. Imagine if you didn't have to temporarily feel good and know that it's going to lead to some sort of hardship. And just as a translator's note, even in a perfect relationship, someone dies before the other and there's some sort of heartbreak, heartache, people get old, things happen that are devastating and very, very sad, even in the perfect circumstances. So when it says here, itching the scratch, it's not just talking about just like carnal pleasure. It's talking about the whole thing when we look at it. That even if any type of thing that we really are attached to and desire, because of the suffering of change, will be torn from us, will change, or something will happen where it won't be as happy as we thought it was going to be. And that's what it's talking about. It's saying even though you have some temporary happiness, wouldn't it be great to always have happiness? So that's what it's saying. If you analyze thus, even though you do not achieve freedom from desire because your desire is lessened, you will still not lust for women. So it's saying that even if you only meditate on this and you just lessen your lust a little bit, your life's going to get better. So that's the point Nagarjuna is making. Even if this doesn't make you a Buddha or you don't reach nirvana, having less lust, wouldn't that be a good thing? So that's what Nagarjuna is saying. Okay, decent, Rinpoche. The 1 Ja Dan Dunchu. Gel de dar. Jikshena de tse tong. Jik. Tse tong jik. Tse tong jik. Tse tong jik. Let me see the tse tong. Yo mare. Yeah. Tse tong jik. Got it.
Tse tong jik dang. Dogen dang. Tse tong dang jik dang. Dogen dang. Nye yu june meze ba. Rida lente tetayu tatu sume tenbandus yola tangji mazangyu ne gube judu dabatar kanla tene lujena ne tabanjo terenge chatin Chenmo lambana shenba nan jetawa kanla tene lujena ne gawanjo terses teyu chumi panshede chumi megawa panshede inwa meba chula dance Magu chubung tsujin la subi chula ten kukures, chula ten. Dani dana jiten de lamen shangshu tudu na, te zawa shangshu sen rawan jabu ta ten tang, shute tubi nijut nila ma ten shi las. Sanji kumu tuyagan doba ina na shangshu ki sen tang, rei jabu tar tenbi, shangshu ki senta toni tubi shira tasu je gongo res shute tubi nije tang sentient tangji la mi nije Nilamaden, Jilla, Nilamaden, Tani the Treasure, Jilla, Jabu Chenmo, Chechen, Chen, Sonju Tani, Cheta Zuko, Jen Jurwa, Tataputa, Sambanzus, Jabul, what the Tuzungalo, Shibaji, Sonja. Chöden chöja pombadan gero tane le kuru chöden kora jogorwa
Lesso.
baden shaja kulu tembe kolo joro jabu chula tabana yada lamba Tembanzus, chul deba tembaje ures. Shanchu samba jua la. Jindan hebi, cidan peda doji, shuebai, baden shasur tawaii, shir, jendu juro.
Tuche, that's good.
Yeah.
190. Okay, that's good, Rinpoche. 190. Jawei Jurven du Jor. Okay, one. Okay, so we begin at 170. Bear with me 1 second. I just want to get to exactly where we read to. 70. So it just ends at 83 right there. Okay, great. It's just strange because you see it's a short stanza in the English and there isn't that. Oh, I see it kind of takes over. All right, I just don't want to ever be mixed up on anything. So, all right, in regards to this. Let's see. To hunt game. So now we're going to get into other aspects of, so now it's going to get into hunting and dealing with killing and taking of life and so forth. To hunt game is a horrible cause of short life, fear, suffering, and hell. Therefore, always steadfastly keep from killing. So in Buddhism, when we look at the 10 non-virtues, killing is the first, abstaining from killing. And it's stated that by engaging in killing, it not only leads to lower realm rebirth, not only leads to lowest realms of suffering and so forth, but it is the cause for short lifespan. And again, we have to understand that karma is always talking about imprints that you're leaving for a future life. Now, certain karmas that you commit, because of the power of the basis, say you killed a Buddha, for instance. Buddhism would say that could actually ripen right in your lifetime and could cause a short life. But usually when we say killing causes a short life, we're talking about at least in your future lives, at some point your life will be shortened. And if it's bad enough, in this life as well. But you'll always see examples of horrible people who have a long life, and then that seems to contradict this. And I think it's important to understand that Buddhism is always talking about multiple lives. We've had beginningless lives, and we'll have many, many, many eons of lifetimes. And even as a Buddha, you have a life, you just aren't in cyclic existence. So when we're talking about you'll have a short life, doesn't necessarily mean in this lifetime. It just means that this continuum will have an experience of a lifetime that's short because of it. It could be this one, but most likely the karma reacts later on, depending on how bad it is. So killing so you'll have to study it, but just look into karma and you'll see that every karma, it's weighted by different things. The person that you do the karma in relation to. Okay, did you recognize, for instance, when you engage in killing a bug, You see a bug, you know that's an actual sentient being that's a bug. You're not ignorant or blind to it. It's not like you're just walking and stepped on it. You recognize there's a sentient being that's a bug there. Then you become attached to killing it. You want it gone. Then you kill it, and then you are glad you killed it. That's a complete karma. If any of those are missing, it becomes less. Or if they're all there, then it just depends on what you killed. And how strong you wanted it dead. And there's all of those factors that play into how you're going to experience the good and bad things you do. But the good part is that abstaining actively, if you see a bug and say, that's a bug, I'm not going to kill that bug because I don't want to engage in killing, and then you don't kill the bug and you feel good about not killing the bug, you just created the cause for having happiness in the future too. So we always talk about negativity because it's like, well, yeah, happiness, we have that. But negativity, we really, really like, it chirps our eardrums. But the same is true. When you don't kill that bug and you know you didn't kill it on purpose, that creates an immense amount of virtue. That creates the cause for you to have a long life. That creates the cause for your loved ones to be have long lives and so forth, and not have to be separated from your loved ones too early. So it's good to understand the positive things that come from the practices of abstaining, not just the negatives that come from doing. So when we say the ethics which abandons the 10 non-virtuous activities, it's a big word. It means like, okay, I have a chance to lie right now. There's someone I can lie to in front of me. I'm not going to tell a lie. You tell them the truth, no matter what's going to happen is going to happen, and then you're like, I'm glad I told the truth because lying's bad. It applies to everything. Or you could be like, ha ha ha, there's a person that I can get over on and I can lie to. Then you lie to him and then you're glad you lied to him. Both of those things are the worst extremes or the best extremes. And you have you're at a turning point and you can make a decision. And it's really, if you're a logical Buddhist, do you want to be happy or do you want to be sad later? You choose. It's that simple. And because that's why we have to meditate, though, because of our emotions, we don't have a grasp on them. We don't have enough time for us to think of that logical part. We just react. So Buddhism starts to give us a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger window between doing what we shouldn't and doing what we should and thinking about it. That's all. All right, last thing I'm going to say is I heard a story once, and I think it's the greatest thing ever told about ethics, and I've applied it a million times. There was so when you have someone who's being mad or yelling at you or treating you unfairly, karmically it's because you treated someone unfairly in a past, because results are concordant. Doesn't mean in this life you did. 20 lifetimes ago you treated someone bad, now you got someone yelling at you. So how do you know if Buddhism's working or not? So this guy worked in an office. So he said he'd go into his boss's office, and then he'd see like his boss would be screaming at him, and then he'd react, and he'd get mad. And there were various things he'd walk by on his way back to his office. And he'd just have, there's that poster and this boss, I can't stand him. He'd sit down in his office. And then he started practicing Buddhism, and he'd realize, well, by the time he got to that poster, he started being more rational. Didn't take till he got into his office to realize that there was just a form with a hole and noise coming out of it that then I'm putting together and labeling as good or bad, and then like shaping my whole life around noise and emotion. So he would notice it would take him like shorter and shorter time before his mind started becoming realistic. And then the water fountain apparently was real close to the office of his boss. And one day he got to the water fountain and realized there was just like a noise and form, and it really didn't mean as much as he thought at the moment. And he said, how do you know you've really realized it? It's when you're standing there and you see a form making a bunch of noise and you can't take any of it seriously or not seriously. It's there doing it. And he said that's when you know that you've gotten it. But it doesn't happen overnight. You get to the poster, then you get to the water fountain, and then you get to just outside the door, and then eventually you stop creating the only thing that could cause another boss to come yell at you. Because getting mad is what causes another yelling boss to come in the future. Toxic emotions, negative emotions are what cause our experience. We become mad and attached, then we do something, and then that puts a seed in for another yelling boss to come right down the road. But when you stopped that emotion at the gate, you don't have a chance to make another yelling boss. You have some from the past lives on the way, but you didn't make a new one. And that's what all Buddhism is. It's like stopping a cycle of ignorance and reaction. It's very scientific. It's not about praying to a God to help us do it. It's about, God, help us do this. There's no one in the driver but us and some powerful lamas around us saying, come on, do it, do your best. It's us driving. We can go wherever we want to go. So with that, where am I? What am I reading? Where was I at?
171.
Okay, I promise I won't comment anymore unless it reminds me Rinpoche said something. To hunt game is a horrible cause of short life, fear, suffering, and hell. There always steadfastly keep from killing. Those who frighten embodied beings when they encounter them are malevolent. Like a snake spitting poison, its body completely stained with impurity. Just as farmers are gladdened when a great rain cloud gathers, so those who gladden embodied beings when encountering them are beneficent. Those observe the practices incessantly and abandon those counter to them. If you and the world wish to attain unparalleled enlightenment, its roots are the altruistic, its aspiration to enlightenment. Firm like the monarch of mountains, compassion reaching to all quarters and wisdom not relying on duality. O great king, listen to how your body will be adorned with the 32 signs of a great being. So Buddha has 32 major marks and 80 minor marks. There are all these, you can read about them. There are all these details of what a Buddha's enjoyment body looks like. It's really special and blazoned and has some of the details you'll read in here, but there are 32 major and 80 minor marks. Through proper honoring of stupas, honorable beings, superiors, and the elderly, you will become a universal monarch. Your glorious hands and feet marked with a design of wheels. That's a mark. O king, always maintain firmly what you have vowed about the practices. You will then become a bodhisattva with feet that are level. Another one. Through giving, speaking pleasantly, purposeful behavior, and concordant behavior, you will have hands with glorious fingers joined with webs of light. Another. Through abundant giving of the best food and drink, your glorious hands and feet will be soft. Your hands, feet, shoulder blades, and the nape of your neck will broaden, so your body will be large in those 7 areas broad. Through never doing harm and freeing the condemned, your body will be beautiful, straight and large, very tall with long fingers and broad backs of the heels. Through spreading the vowed practices, you will have glory, a good color. Your ankles will not be prominent. Your body hairs will stand upwards. Through your zest for knowledge, the arts, and so forth, and through imparting them, you will have the calves of an antelope, a sharp mind, and great wisdom. I think that's the last one. Where we read to? 80, 180. Okay. Dison, Chichina Trua Dan Lenja.
Maybe okay.
Okay, so, yeah, we'll do question and answer now. And please ask questions. I just stink at Tibetan numbers. I have some karmic obstacle here that I need removed. I cannot read Tibetan numbers. There's 10 of them. I learned the language. Just 10 more things. I just can't. It's just stuck on it forever. I've been doing this comparison thing since I started studying Buddhism in Tibetan. Like where I can't ever remember what one. There's such weird numbers. You only need to know 10. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So I just wanted to ask Rinpoche about like meditation practice.
Mm-hmm.
Is it appropriate to do like maybe half like a session, say for 20, if you're meditating for 20 minutes, maybe like half a session for just like breathing and kind of focusing on like your posture, meditation posture and stuff?
Mm-hmm. First, you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Kind of just taking like a break almost from your daily activities, and then after that, once you get like a little like inspired, or if you just get like kind of just bored of just sitting there, then start reciting mantras.
So just as a question, are you saying you're using it as like setting a foundation for the practice?
Yeah.
When you're doing the breathing, are you doing just Do you have a specific breathing practice, or are you
I-
focusing on the breath?
I just try to sit in like a half lotus posture and do the mudra that
The
Dalai
7-point
Lama talked
Virocana
about.
posture.
He said to take your right hand and put it over your left hand and make a triangle with your thumbs
Mm-hmm.
because of whatever, and then like other bodily postures to make sure that like the wind channels are open. I think.
Yeah.
That's what he said?
Just as an aside, it's great if anybody just to write down the 7-point Virocana posture is what you're talking about. It's the legs in the lotus, or half lotus, the legs, the hands, the back, and so it's the legs in the lotus posture, the hands exactly with the right hand on top of the left, the back very straight. Like a stack of coins, the shoulders resting in a comfortable position, the head tilted slightly forward, the eyes focused on the nose, the tongue focused on the roof of your mouth behind your teeth. So you look it up, there's 7. I don't even remember how many I just listed, but there's 7 of them. And then the reason you put your tongue to the top is so you don't dehydrate, so your saliva circulates. So you'll find it. Sometimes it's called the 8-point because they add the breathing sometimes, but it's technically the 7-point Virocana posture, and it deals with that. And it's said that by staying in that posture, you're aligning all of the channels and everything to in such a way that you can sit for long periods of time. Kongi Triwa de Rinpoche. The Nima Dakpar Gom Jagadu. The ne Tambo Kon Ugon. Then Tambo Ugon Dets Gondu. Then the Mingare, the Dun, the Dun, the Shuden, the Dun, the Mingare,
Dunjo.
the Kon the Gom Jagadu. Then U Jagdu, then the Sansan Karma Junga Karma Nishu, then the Sarna, then Kon Sen that's Chipolena, then a Kon Jenda Tsalodan, Jantro Dan Jenda, the Diggerbe.
Yes.
Then so what do you do after the breathing? Like you then do
I
mantras or something?
I literally, in order, I just go down.
All the mantras.
Yeah.
So then the kon ugom, then the ngatsu the kandu becha the zonga kanga kon logudu. Tambo uja kon then ngatsu zonga kanga logudu. Then do you do a dedication?
Do.
Okay.
At the very end.
And then
I pray
Hua
for the
Dangdu.
long life of the Dalai Lama and Rinpoche.
Then ngatsu huwa dangdu. The yabudu.
Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah, it's good. That's very good. Yeah. Yeah, the breathing meditation is whatever you use it for is wonderful, but if you see in the text, it's good for people who have a lot of conceptuality, a lot of problem with distraction, and it builds the ground in a way, so that you can start your meditation in a grounded way so that it's focused, and it's more beneficial to you because you're able to really absorb more of it instead of being ba 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 because you've gotten yourself to a grounded place. And the meditation, if you look in Liberation, the palm of your hand is really nice. Only breathing through your nose, and on the exhale, like start to be able to visualize the wind itself, and on the exhale, do your counts. 1 in your mind. See how high you can get before you think of something other than the breath.
So just, you saying count there?
Yeah.
I've heard that before.
You're doing your breathing meditation.
Count each breath?
1. But you're not doing it out loud. You're thinking to yourself 1. And you're only meditating on the breath and the number. Only meditating on the breath and the number. As soon as you think about a bicycle or someone else or your mom or da-da-da-da-da, you start over. And then you have a real gauge on how kind of secure your mind is. And I've heard people say, you could, and because a Lama in Tibet said that most of you in this audience can't even get through Om Mani Padme Hum without it happening. And you want to be great yogis and practice Tantra. So, the Rinpoche, the Ngesedu, the Ngama, the Pupa Kepa. Kelenson, the Chiranso, the Ngapa Tsalodang, the Nga Shera Gapudu, Yene, O Mane Peme Hong, Chik Dana, the Sanlo Ja Yure, the Sanlo Jenda, Ja yure. Omani pemi hom sanlo dangamare. The sanlo jenda dandu. Omani pemi hom cheek dana sanlo ja jenda sanlo dandu. Omani pemi hom sanlo garment. Then the ugom pemba. The ugom garishine gonja. Then ngatsu sem the chipudan chip then the gom jenda le labudu. He said, yeah.
Rinpoche, my question is about understanding the notion of collective consciousness and collective intention. I believe that if we have collective intention towards awakening or enlightenment, then it might be more possible than if we don't have collective intention. And when we come together here in the center, we also have a collective intention that might be able to produce more powerful results in us than if we just had individual intention. At the same time, there has been certain research scientifically that has shown that collective intention or collective awareness for great events in the world, for example, like New Year's, the New Year celebrations around the world, or major celebrations like a Super Bowl or Olympics, can produce measurable effects just simply based on the collective energy or the collective intention of people doing something at the same time. So my question is there any teachings in Buddhism on understanding collective intention?
Okay, that's a great question. So I just want to clarify for anybody new in the room, when I'm asking this question about collective karma, what Buddhism means when it says collective karma, it means there's a collection of people all in an area that in previous lives did similar things. Doesn't mean we did them together. Doesn't mean the karma can't be transferred. My karma can never become your karma. Your karma can never become my karma. This consciousness is the consciousness that will become a Buddha. Jeff won't become a Buddha. As soon as I die, consciousness moves forward and then becomes something else that I'll think is just as much me as I think Jeff is right now. But my consciousness will never mix with someone else's consciousness. My karma will never be someone else's karma. But when Buddhism says collective karma, we mean that we're all in this room together. So we did something similar in previous lives or have some connective kind of something to allow us to be in front of this teacher specifically at this time in this town. But it never means that our karma's mixed at any time whatsoever. So I just want to make sure as I ask this question that I'm starting it from the basis of what Buddhism asserts. But I think it's a great question. And then the second part that I want to say is that when we say science says this, science doesn't. Some scientists do. So that's where it gets tricky because it's not something that we're sure of happens. It's something that some say maybe does. I've seen the thing with the prayer, collective prayer, where it has some sort of power that's measurable. They've done studies as well. And some scientists claim they can measure that. But it isn't something that every scientist on the face of the earth concurs is true. So when we say science says this, science tomorrow may say something else and say, no, that's not true at all. It's this. This is what's true. And then next week it'll be like, nah, what we said was true isn't true at all. This is what's true. So careful with science says this, but I think it's an awesome question. Rinpoche, this Chenrezig Kalen, the me sheda mambo nyamdu, then dewa yuna. But what does it mean? Okay, so there's more energy if there's more people that are happy. What is that? What is science saying that energy is doing? What do you mean by that? How are they measuring? What is it produced?
So basically, the intention was to see if there was some kind of effect in maybe something like the electromagnetic field or something, or it's just like...
I can't do or something. I can't. You got to go back, find out what it is, and I'll ask it precise.
Honestly, to be honest, I'm not... Oh, wait, I have one more thing after this. I am not completely sure. The question is...
I'll ask more about the Buddhist thing, and I'm not going to bring science into it.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Rinpoche, ngatsu nyamdu kandunche. Dene nga susur nga kuna de kamba dena kandunche gewa sagadu. Dene ngatsu Chenrezig jutsu le ngatsu nyamdu. Kandun che nga gewa sagdu kong susu gewa sagdu. Ngatsu nyamdu susu gewa mo chipa. Kongichua. The kamba kandun che the chipo. Ngatsu meja. Kandun che nyamdu. Susu gewa chipa. The kongichua.
Go chiba
Same virtue. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't even know what I asked him. So I asked him if we are at home, because I think it's cutting to the root of your question.
Okay.
If we're at home doing a prayer, we're accumulating virtue.
Okay.
If we come to the center and there are 100 people doing a prayer all at the same time, there are 100 people creating virtue.
Okay.
If they're all doing it with the intention. That's the other part. You don't know what everyone in here might be doing the prayer so that they can kill someone. They think it's a voodoo ritual. I'm just saying, you don't know what anyone's intention in this room is but your own.
Right.
So saying it's bringing power, I don't know what, but so what Rinpoche said is, I said, so if I'm praying at home alone,
Yeah.
I'm praying with 100 people, I said. I gave
Yeah.
the number 100.
Yeah.
We're all doing it in unison with this virtuous intention, assuming that.
Right.
He said it's the same virtue.
It's the same virtue.
Mhm.
It's the same virtue.
Same virtue.
Okay. Okay.
But if you feel more special when you come here, and then it gives you more faith, so you're praying more powerfully, then you're getting into subtleties, and I would be willing to debate a geshe that certain conditions in an environment could cause your virtue to be a stronger because your reaction to it could be more. Because when you circumambulate a stupa in Nepal versus, they say it's because it's a pilgrimage place, it's greater virtue. No, it's playing a trick on your mind because you think it's greater virtue, because you think it's a pilgrim place, so you place more emphasis on it. So that's where your own individual reaction comes into play there. Like if there's 100 people there, do you think it's more special?
Yeah, right.
Are you praying harder?
Right.
You know, that's really...
I think the most important point of contention is to recognize that it's not a collective mind.
Okay.
It's your own individual mind.
The ngatsu sem susu sem konkele. Nyamdu yomare be. Nyamdu yomare. Ngatsu ngesem ngesen, chiran sem. Ngatsu sheba nyamdu chagamare. Nga sanje chiran sanje kakare. Shanchu semba kakare. Nyentu rangel kakare. Konsu susu sheba kakare. Depo chipa. Yene the sheba kakare. The chikshena. So yes, correct.
Okay.
You are correct, sir.
Thank you so much. Final request would be that I have my sister's best friend from very little. Her mother is suffering from cancer. And her name is Jane Maxim.
The Rinpoche, I don't want to forget.
Yeah.
Rinpoche, Jane Rinpoche, the Kongi Trosho Ama Sheda Nagadu. Say her name. Kongi Ming?
Jane Maxim.
Jane Maximum Kongi Tsen. Tuji Rinpoche Mulanjaronang. Tuji Geshe Mulanjaronang. And just make sure that you give the advice to take all of the medicine as directed, Rinpoche said.
Yes.
Rinpoche always wants us all to know that prayers are great, but medicine first. Right? You know, like we aren't a healing tradition. We believe there's power in prayer, but we like medicine and all the advice you can get from medical doctors. Yes.
So you were talking about posture a little bit before.
Yeah.
And it raises up a couple questions. As a large Westerner with these big old German peasant legs.
Yes.
You know, the full lotus is very painful. And
yes.
you were talking about this ideal posture, you know. The instructions I got from, you know, my Zen instruction when I learned meditation over there was that, you know, it's not, you know, if you can't do the full lotus, that's fine. You know, just the important things are make sure you're stable and your back straight. But in other traditions, you hear that, you know, you generate more merit if you're in the full lotus, or, you know, if you take, you know, if I just force my legs into that proper
no.
All right. No, just all right.
You're not enlightening your legs, you're enlightening your mind, but your legs become important at the final stages of meditation. If you're for the final stages of the completion stage, highest yoga tantra, you need to get into that. But there'll be a workaround by the time you get to that. Don't worry. Yeah. Con de seudu, de con de gomja, con gamba, nagdu. Then con de mingare, de dorje. Dorje jedun, dana, de gamba nagdu. Then the gegen ngama segdu, de madena, gewa the Chenmo sagamare. Then nge segdu korsum. De ngatsu gamba, de tarpa drogomare, ngatsu sheba dro. Ngatsu gamba yomare. Yene nature lana me de gemma gu yene tanda gugumare de gonja. Nature lana me be Jew de jerin jurim de tamagu yene tanda ngatsu gugumare. Dene de kucha de digarebe kongichiwa.
Yeah.
Dene de kon kucha dena gom kanga de dantudwe.
Yes.
Yeah, so he said that you can do it's fine to sit in a chair, and he said that all of the meditations that you need to do, you can do sitting in a chair. But it is, in defense of the other teacher, the full lotus posture becomes necessary in the completion stage practices to align the channels. But I mean that's the completion stage practices, and I haven't even really, if I'm honest with myself, developed Buddhist refuge to a full degree where no matter what happens, that's what comes up in my mind. I'm still in such low stages that I don't know where you're at. I can only say where I'm at, but I wouldn't get concerned at all about that. They say that like when you're ready to do that practice, that you could put your hand out and then an apple would come off of the tree and then you could put it back on. So I'm sure you'd find a workaround with the body stuff by then, You can burrow underground and swim underwater without gills. So I think it can be good. If you can get all those adaptations, you'll be able to work around the legs.
So there's a few upgrades.
Yeah, there's some upgrades, absolutely.
Oh, no, thanks. So, as a follow-up to Dan's question,
Yes.
First of all, thank you for the teachings,
Rinpoche
Rinpoche,
tuchena de ngatsu sheda pentogudu.
and thank you, Jeff. So, there are a lot of studies about prayer and meditation, and one of them occurred in the summer of 1993 in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
And there were 4,000 transcendental meditation practitioners
TM, okay.
and who worked collectively for 8 weeks on reducing crime levels. And crime was measurably reduced in Washington, D.C., by around 20%. And I don't know how long that reduction lasted, but it lasted long enough to be measured. And so my question is, how does that happen?
Were they all just released from prison? No, I'm kidding. And were they locked up for this study doing it? That's my first cynical question. I'm joking, but you see where I was going with that. Rinpoche, where was it? Washington?
Washington.
Rinpoche, Washington la. The Tsenripa, the Mei Jitong, Nyamdu de. The ne Khensur Gomja. The Hindu Gom Dandrar, the Sam Tomba, the Dandra, the Jai Lama Dandrar, Hashan Dandrar, Gom Jason. Yene Khensur the Dopa, the ne Mema Sepa, the ne Gumagu Yomare, the Droncher. The how long? The 8 weeks. The Dunta J. Nyamdu Gonjaso. Dene konsu the drone chair. The dunta j dason. Dene me sepa the mingare. Ngama ja the gomja dutsu chikshena jeju. That's the down the mingare topa the down more then the that's more guma go more down then garshene rinpoche gomja jitong 4,000 yamdu then 1993 senripo the lobjung sheson Washington la me jitong yamdu then kon gonja so then kon the me masepa sanlo danson then gomo go yomare sanlo danson then the kanga the sanlo yapo danson the donta je 8 weeks then the suchupo mo gomo go mo then garshine ngampi jutsun yurbe chishina de jeton nge the joklan chishina de me jeton me ducha then yamdu shason then sonkan dandra de sunsan kon suchu mason Geshe Lharampa likes my joke. Okay. Then chiran sanlo garyube rinpoche me nyamdu me mambo nyamdu the sheda yapo sanlo the droncher yapo cha tudue judan dre rbe
nyandu tosa bayina gwa chewa yungures susu gwa sana te chungures nyandu gwa sa bayina gwa chewa yungures ngaju shama tene chigi keshi jena sheta nyogo maro mombe ndu sha bayina nyoba chayoro.
So everybody's individual results are the same, but there's a greater virtue collectively created, so it could have, because they're acting virtuous, their environment, depending on the power of the virtue, 4,000 people's environment could slightly change because they're of the virtue. It's possible. It's not, we're in some real karma waters right now. But there is a possibility if you have 4,000 people together, right? And if they were all very pure and they were all meditating on something very powerful of basis that could lead to a result in this lifetime, then it's possible that 4,000 people together could start to experience their city differently because their karma was better. The killing, they're having to live in a place where there is killing because of bad karma. You wouldn't live in a place where there was killing if you only had good karma. Interesting. Those are all the facts I just put out there that should go through your head if you're analyzing it. And Rinpoche said that it's possible, but only possible through that very subtle, okay, all these people have this virtue, and then their experience of their environment changes because they no longer have the karma to be in a place where there's lots of killing. But it'd have to be some powerful karma. I don't know. It's a great question, though. Great thing to think about.
So, thank you, Rinpoche, for teaching. Thank you, Jeff, for translating. So, Rinpoche is very big on science and research and proof of whatever you're trying to prove. There at Emory University, Geshe Lharampa is a PhD in psychology for those who are interested in looking at his work on cognitively based compassion training. There is research that he has done and completed. I don't know how many years he conducted this research on cognitively based compassion training and implementing this specific type of training to use for children in, I think it was like a foster school, like a foster school. So if you go on the internet and look up his work, you can see, and and this is valid scientific results. Why was it valid scientific results? Because the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, gave them a grant they received a grant. So I don't know all these answers. And then I know that they had a big meeting in India, in Dharamsala, and His Holiness was there. And His Holiness, as you know, has gone to Emory University many times. So it's I can't speak to collective karma. I cannot speak to people joining together. I have looked on Gayam TV and seen some research that supports, for example, what this young man was speaking to. But again, you have to look. You have to look at the research and who and when they do just to backtrack. When research is done, they do a pilot study, and they do a pilot study. So that's like a test study, 20 people maybe. And then to see if it's valid, they do it again. So a second time. So that's what you want to see, is the validity of what has been taught. Again, to speak to the karma, though, and I'm not going above Rinpoche or above what Jeff is translating or any Geshe or any of Buddha's teachings at all. The karma is definitely plays a huge part in it. The other side of the coin is, though, if you do this, you get this result. In some people, which has been measured, which has a positive effect. Full stop.
Yeah. Any other questions? To Chenmo Rinpoche. The Tengsan, the Rinchen Chenwa, Shede Yapodu.
I do.
Great.
So,
Yes, sure.
So, so there's fortunate eons and unfortunate, or more fortunate eons to be born in, and why is it better to be born in a fortunate eon?
Okay. Hold on one sec. I'm not looking at my email. I'm looking at a dictionary right now, just so everybody knows. I want to ask this. I always dance around this word, and I'm just going to... Rinpoche. The Kalpa Kashe. The
Sunam de Wonton de Sunam Chenmo.
Sansan Ngatsu Jikden, the Sunam Mambo Yure. Sansan Sunam Mepa Yure. Sansan de Yure, Sansan de Mepa. Then Sanjay Chu Yuna Yapo. Then Sanjay Chu Mena the Yapo Yomare. So what's the question? Is why are those, or
Okay.
what creates those?
Why is it better to be born in a fortunate
Oh, that's
eon?
why is it better? Thank you. Then Gar Shene.
If
Okay, go for it.
maybe
Let's see what we end up with.
Okay.
Rinpoche, the Kalpa, Sunam Yona Kalpa, Dutsu, Gar Shene Yargadu, the Kongitriwa. Then the Sansang Ngatsu, the Injike, the Dutsu Napo, Dutsu Garpo, the Tanda Garpo, then Yeneng Jema Napo Yongore, Chu Yomare, Sanje Yomare, Tanda Garpo, Tanda Yapo. Then Gar Shene Yapo, Ted Triwa. Garishene Garpo. Garishene Napo Yomar.
Yodon Yabores.
Then they
Dewa
don't.
Yungor.
The Tepa.
Dewa.
Dewa. Then
Dewa Laka Gabro.
then the Chu. The that's allowed on Rinpoche. The Garishene Pentogudu. The Dutsu Tanda Garishene. The Ngatsu Lu Yure. The Chu Yure. Gonchusun. The
Chudu Yoba Yina. Then could ever the Dewa Yungores.
Lesso.
Dewa Ganga Gabros.
Lesso.
What Jason is.
So the reason that it's called the fortunate eon is because of the happiness that is occurring. Why is the happiness occurring? Because virtuous a large number of people are dwelling in one area that have created virtue to have a happy existence within that time period. So you have people who've created this virtue, each one of them individually, and they all ended up in this similar place, or a similar time is a better way to say it, and it's called a fortunate eon. So why is it better? Rinpoche said it's simply better because there's more happiness, but why is it really better, and what else marks it? And it's the presence of Lord Buddha's teachings. During a fortunate eon, during the most fortunate part of it, there's a Buddha in the world, and it says that it starts to turn when there's no longer those with faith, and then there's no teachings left. So there's followers of the teachings when there's a fortunate eon. There's teachings, and there's happiness, general happiness, because to have those other details, you would have had to have created a large amount of virtue previously, to have dharma, to have all of these things. So it's better because of what you have access to, better because you're happier, but then you're also using a large amount of virtue while you're there. And that's why it's always enforced in these teachings to make use of this life of leisure and opportunity, because we're using up so much karma to be able to dwell in this place that's so good, in this fortunate eon. Does that answer it? So the fortunate eon is there's Buddhism in the world, there's a happiness in the world because collectively enough virtue's been created to be in this thing labeled fortunate eon. We'd have to look into what the line of demarcation is, like where does it, like if there's one book left, or when does it become unfortunate? And Rinpoche said that it's the happiness, which is an indicator. And I was trying to get more out of him, but he said it's the happiness, and agreed about the dharma in the world and so forth, but ultimately it's the happiness that you have in a fortunate eon. And that would make sense because according to Buddhism, the highest happiness is Buddhahood, and you have access to that. So when you look at the Buddha's statement in the sutra that says through generosity comes the enjoyments, through ethics, happiness. Happiness means ultimately Buddhahood, but it can be translated into other categories of happiness, but it would need the teachings there in order for it to be a real form. Rinpoche, the Suna Mena, the Sanjay Chu Mena, the Sanjay Jegarbe, Napo Dutsu, Sanjay Sarpa Yongdue, Ale, the Longku, Ale, Longku. So I asked Rinpoche if there are new Buddhas happened during an unfortunate eon. And he said, yeah. And then I realized that, of course, because there's pure lands and there's just less opportunity in this human place, Rinpoche, the Dutsu, the Napi Dutsu, the Hla Yurbe, Hla Dan Lama Yin, the Yurbe, Chipa. Oh, so the time is not just a human time. Like gods have this unfortunate, and the demigods and all as well. So it isn't just in relation to this world we're in right now in our clocks. Okay. Conclude. Tu Chena Rinpoche, the Sheda Yapaldu, Chera Mena Ngatsu, the Mig Lua, Mig Mena, Dandrar, Mig Mepa Dandrapaldu. Mena. So the final couple pages. The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun, and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. I dedicate whatever virtues I have collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drapa to shine forever. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. I dedicate all this virtue to emulate the knowledge of the hero Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra as well, with whatever dedication is praised as supreme by all the conquerors who traverse the 3 times. I also dedicate all my roots of virtue for the sake of auspicious deeds. In that pure land, surrounded by snowy mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. All-powerful Avalokiteshvara, Tenzin Gyatso, may you stay until samsara's end. I pray for the long life of the precious Khensur Wandak, upholder of scriptural and realizational doctrines, the spiritual friend who trained extensively in the 5 great philosophical texts with exceptional wisdom and perseverance. Tuji Rinpoche Gutsi Shapi Denona. Latsu Umar Rinchen Chewa Kanga Chirona.